Hi people! So I was asked by, I think a subscriber, I hope a subscriber. By the way, you should also become a subscriber by hitting that subscribe button right now. Anyway, I was asked by someone in a comment to make a video on how to sell the buffs in Daramal North. And I'm gonna show you in this video how to do that. I'm gonna show you how to create what I call an optimal ID. And you can call it whatever you want, but what I mean by it is that the eyes are gonna be non-hostile. The dogs by the king is gonna be non-hostile. More specifically, the patrol of 3 dogs by the king is gonna be non-hostile. The 4 reavers are gonna be dead. You know, there's 2 by Captain Crumbcrush, there's 2 by Guard Slipkick. The insects are obviously gonna be dead, and Slipkick is gonna be trapped. Now, in order to do this, besides just needing an invisibility potion and either a skeleton key or a Sephorium charge, you will also need 1 thorium widget and 1 frost oil, and this is in order to trap Slipkick. Now, I'd say that if it's a good day to sell the buffs, which is like usually Sunday afternoon, Tuesday or Wednesday, or maybe even Saturday if some people are raiding that day, then you could expect like at least 100 gold per hour if you're okay at selling. And that is supposing, you know, roughly selling all the time. Now this of course greatly depends on the price for the buffs, and on my server it's still 5 gold. I think that's basically the meta on my server, but that has been the price meta for like 8 months by now, and gold has obviously inflated. So if you like bought a large brilliant shard 8 months ago, you paid maybe 2 gold, and nowadays you pay at least 4 gold. So it really doesn't make sense to me that the price on the buffs has remained unchanged. And I have heard that on some servers the price is 10 gold, and if you're following the inflation properly, I think that that is what makes sense. I think that it should be something like 10 gold, but then you could also, I don't know, argue back and forth, and it will obviously greatly increase or affect your gold per hour rate, what price you have. Now, a big tip that I'm gonna come back to is that when selling buffs, I'd strongly recommend you to stand outside the dungeon. Some hunters like to stand inside, you know, by the place where you grab the king's buff, but that will mean that there can only be 4 people inside the instance at any time grabbing the buffs. If you stand outside, there can be 5 people, and going from 4 to 5, that will increase your gold per hour by up to 25%, which is pretty damn good. But like I said, 100 gold at least an hour, and it could go up to like 250, maybe even more. Who knows? If the cost for the buffs is like 10 gold. Now, the first thing, I don't know if it was the first thing that I mentioned, but getting the eyes non-hostile. What I mean by that is that if someone walks past an eye before they got the king's buff, the eye does not trigger. So it will be red, but it won't be attacking and you can't attack it. And in order to get non-hostile eyes, they have to be alive when the king dies. And there is essentially 2 ways to do this. You either sneak past them, or you kill them and let them respawn before killing the king. And the eyes have a 25 minutes respawn timer. So I would probably recommend you to try and sneak past them, but if you have to kill an eye, or if you even trigger it by mistake, then either just try and go again, but I'd actually recommend you to just wait 20 minutes before killing the king, pulling the king, and by the time the king dies, 25 minutes will have passed and the eyes will become non-hostile. Now, what I'm gonna be doing here is doing the fast and dangerous skip, and I'd recommend you to not do fast and dangerous, but fast and safe. So the eye patrols to that diamond, and then it's gonna turn around, and I'd recommend you to pull back with your pets and then feign death in here. If you wanna be extra fast Neo style Matrix shit, you're gonna try and skip them already. And like if I would have been 2 seconds slower, this would have messed me up. You can see how close the eye is when I finally feign death. If you would have feigned death over there, you would have waited until the eye had moved past you, and then you would have skipped this pack. And you want to skip it like as fast as possible. Maybe you could pull them with your pet and let the pet die, or you do the iron grenade, or maybe you just scatter the Terrans, aspect of the Sheeta, monkey, and wind clip them. Who knows? Anyway, by the time you're here, you want to let the eye at least get to that patrol or that pack there, and then you keep going, because this will give you the most time. And things just worked out with a bit of luck. I'm pulling these guys and pulling them back, and I think what happens is that the eye gets so far away from me that it zones out, and when the eye zones out, it takes like 5 times longer for the eye, or 4 times or whatever, for it to do its patrol. Because I'm gonna say that I aggroed the insects like 25 seconds ago, and the eye does not take 50 minutes to do its patrol. It's shorter than that. Oh, and what happens here that you don't want to do? Just turn on track demon right here and see where the eye is, so you don't do what I do, because what I do is basically worst case scenario. So I can't see the eye right now, so I just start going, and as soon as I jump, the eye emerges. And it's like, well, I can't run into the eye because I will trigger the eye, but I can't feign death close to the Reavers because then I can't keep going. So by just pure luck, I managed to feign death perfectly. This allows me to get up, pop the invisibility potion, and keep going. Obviously, avoid the situation. I could have just waited until the eye had passed like the Reavers, like till it was there. I would have had to wait like 10 seconds and then go. But for some reason I didn't. Now, when you go here, if the eye should come now, just stay to the side and let it pass. Or maybe you're forced to kill it, and then that's just the case, then you're gonna have to wait for its respawn. When you've made your way up here, you wanna, like, pretty much regardless of where the eye was when you passed it, you want to stand in this corner until the eye comes up to the end of its patrol and turns around. And if you want to resurrect your pets or have to, this is the place to do so. So quite soon we're going to skip ahead. Or not. There we have the eye. And you can see how far it moves. And when going back and when going up, you want to hug the wall like I'm doing here. And now it's go time. Normally, you could have placed a frost trap at the end of the stairs. You can't do that now, because that will trigger the eye. So put him on stay and then just go like normal. We're gonna speed ahead now, because nothing's really out of the ordinary until, I'd say, about now. So if you're gonna sell buffs for more than 2 hours, the dogs will have time to respawn. And if that's what you're gonna do, then you don't want to kill the dogs before you kill the king. Because if you kill the king before the dog dies, the dogs are gonna be non-hostile, and that's what you want. But if you kill the dogs and then they respawn, the respawn dogs are gonna be hostile. Maybe someone isn't paying attention and they get killed and lose 2 of their world buffs, and then they're not gonna be happy with you. And it's so unnecessary as well. So either you just pull the king and then make sure to avoid the dogs as they do this patrol, or you wait for the dogs to just pass the circle before you kill the king. And I decided to just wait because they were in such a good position. And that's also the safest thing to do. Now, I'm just gonna assume that you know how to kill the king, and I'm not gonna show you that. That's just making the video unnecessarily long. And I'm not trying to, like, milk this. At least not that much. Hey. Anyway, 15-16 minutes in, it's time to kill off the 4 Reavers. And you want to kill all 4 of them at the same time, if you're gonna sell buffs for more than, like, say, at least 2 hours. And I'm not entirely sure why this happens, but when I was selling buffs the other day, for like 6 or 8 hours, I killed these guys 2 at a time. So first this pack, and then once they were dead, I got the second pack. And for some reason, the time difference between when this pack died and when the second pack died was just increasing, meaning that the respawn time was also increasing. So maybe by the 4th respawn, there was a 15 minutes delay between when these guys were, when they died, and when the next pack spawned. And when selling these buffs, you obviously want to stand as much AFK as possible, basically. And if you have to stay on your guard for like 30 minutes waiting for respawns and kill them off, then that's annoying. So what you should do, in my opinion, is pull these first two with your pets, Eyes of the Beast. By the way, don't use cancel to remove focus. Like, normally when I focus someone and I don't want to focus them, I just press cancel. But if you cancel now, it will cancel your channeling of Eyes of the Beast. So pull the 4 Reavers, if possible, avoid pulling the guard. I somehow managed to do that here, not quite sure how. If you should pull him, it's not a big deal. You're just gonna kill off the Reavers and juggle the king, the guard, and then you'll feign death once the Reavers are dead. So this is gonna be done basically on the exact same way that you kill the king. We get pets into position. They're gonna be far apart, so like what I think I do is I feign death basically here, and then I'm gonna pull these guys back to me, and once they reach these guys, still going for my pet, I'm just gonna damage them and I will collect them. It takes maybe 5 minutes to kill these guys. Speed up to 24, I think it is. There we go. Okay, so when killing them, like I said, try and kill them together as much as possible. So the first guy dies at like 24:03, and in like 30 seconds, everyone else will be dead. Meaning that when the respawn comes, I'm not gonna have to stand around and wait for respawns for that long. I'll just pull the first pack, and at most I'll have to wait 30 seconds down by the second pack, and that won't be an issue at all. So at 24:04 the first guy died, and at basically 24:30 the last guy died. So you can see I restarted the timer, and you want to do this so that when it approaches 2 hours and the respawns are gonna come, you can just be prepared. Like at 1 hour 55 minutes I'm gonna run in and I'm gonna stand ready by the first 2 Reavers, and everything will be nice and dandy. So I'm just gonna take the buff, grab the content of the chest, and now we're gonna trap Slipkick, and this is when you need a Frost Oil and a Thorium widget. I usually carry 5 of each just in case I feel like selling buffs. I rarely do that. But anyway, I got them anyway. When killing the insects, I'm using the trinket from the first boss, the hunter trinket from the first boss in BWL. You don't need it, but it's extra AoE, and combine it with a explosive trap and a dynamite. So because the dynamite has a travel time, I do it something like this. Keep them in the AoE damage, pop the Terrans, pop that thing, and this. Basically I'm ready to sell the buffs now. The ID is perfect. Besides one thing, which should become apparent very soon, and that's that the guard is hostile. If this happens, you have to log out, log back in to lose your king's buff, and then you have to retake your king's buff, and then things will be fine. And what can happen is that when you kill the insects, you might damage Slipkick, and that will make him, well, not friendly again. So I'm just gonna run up to this place, relog, drop the buff, and then retake the buff. And once we make our way back to Slipkick, everything is gonna be fine. There we got the buff, move back to Slipkick, that's a bit fast. You can see now he is friendly. And so this is basically everything you need to know in order to do these runs. Like I said, depending on what day it is, and depending on what the meta for the price is and how much you can charge, you should be looking at like at least 100 gold per hour, and then I'm sure it can move up to like almost 300 gold. There is also one more thing I just remember that you should see, that I think that I do about here. Yes, so there is a really good add-on for doing this, because when you are looking for buyers, I'd strongly recommend you to make a macro which basically says like DMT buffs for sale, guard trapped, ice friendly, no invis needed. And that's basically saying that you have this type of ID. And then you want to end it off with like whisper something, some word for invites. And what you can use is an add-on called auto invite, where if you type this in /auto invites enable, that will turn on the add-on. And then you write /auto invite keyword and then choose your keyword. So I chose invite or inv. So if anyone whispers me this, I will automatically invite them through the add-on. So when I'm selling, which I'll show you now actually, I like to just stand outside, because now I can have 5 people grabbing the buff at once instead of 4, meaning 25% more gold per hour. Something very important to note is that if you create a raid group and everyone leaves and you're outside, the ID will reset. And I think that's got to do with basically the raid group disbanding, and that will reset stuff. So you want to make sure to always have people in your group, or preferably have some offline people. Like some people will log out before they leave the group, and that is just perfect. That is what you want. Because then you won't have to worry about everyone leaving. And that is an issue if you're outside and you've converted to raid group. So I have my macro for selling buffs, and then I also have a macro which does a raid warning saying that I'm standing outside for payment, and you can also mail me the gold. And as far as I remember, you know, people just pay because people have like a couple of thousand of gold, and like they just give the 5 gold because it's nothing. And so you just stand here and sell now, and like I said, at least 100 gold per hour if you're always selling, probably way more. And this is probably all I got to say about selling Diamond Tribute buffs. A really easy, very AFK farm. If you want to make a lot of gold, this is really good, partly because it's good gold per hour, but also because this is something you can do for like hours on end. If you farm a Rudon or Sogurub or Scalded Monastery for hours on end, you're probably gonna become quite exhausted. But what you're doing here is basically just click a macro, accept trades, and once every 2 hours, you go inside and kill the respawns. And by the way, when you go outside, be aware of this, the timer disappears. Or actually, never mind, the timer was gone since I relogged, I just realized. So just be aware of that, because you want to make sure the timer is always correct. Now I'm kind of gonna have to guess roughly when it's been 2 hours, but anyway, this is pretty much all I have to say. I hope you found this helpful. I hope you're ready to make some gold. Make sure to subscribe if you found this helpful or useful. Make sure to let me know in a comment if you'd like me to know a very basic video for how to make your first Diamond Tribute run as a hunter. You can also join my Discord, there will be a link in the description, and that Discord is probably the best way to reach me. If you wanna ask a question, maybe come with a suggestion, or whatever it might be. I also let you know what I'm working on on that Discord if you haven't heard from me in a while and want to see if I've gone underground or whatever. I also stream over at twitch.tv/NeceriumClouds, link in the description yet again. If you're watching this video the same day that it was uploaded, I'm gonna be doing Feral DPS in AQ40 tonight, so that's probably gonna be a lot of fun. Anyway, this was all from me. Thanks for watching. I'll be back soon with another video, and until then, see ya.